Hey guys, this is Dan White with another battle report. This week we're playing the scenario Destruction. If you destroy your opponent's objective, you get 1 control point. If you control the objective in the middle, you get a control point. And if you dominate it, you get 2 control points. This week I'm rocking my minions, but this time Jaga Jaga is running the show. 2 Ironback Spitters and a Bone Swarm in her battle group. Gatorman Posse with Bokor and Shamblers and the Bogtrog Ambushers. A Sacrivault, a Witch Doctor, a Throg, and a Feralgeist. Theme Force is Voodoo Dolls. I get to reduce the cost of my Sacrivaults by 1. My Undead models gain Advanced Move. Friendly models get to begin the game affected by my upkeeps, and my deployment zone is extended by 2 inches. My opponent is playing Khador. He's running Vlad3. He has a Conquest, Fenris, a Manowar Dracoon, Greylord Outriders minimum unit, 2 minimum units of Iron Fang Ulans, Battle Mechanics, and Ulan Kovnak Markov. He is also running a Theme Force. He's going up to Tier 3. Tier 1, he gets to increase the FA of non-character cavalry models by 1. Tier 2, Warjacks in the army gain +2 speed during the first turn of the game. In Tier 3, he gains a +1 on the starting roll. Charge of the Horse Lords. So this is my advanced move. I'm gonna just get the Shamblers up there, only 5 inches. And a funny thing about this advanced move is they're undead, but the Bokor is not, so he has to stay back. Because I start the game with my upkeeps in play, I put the defense spell on my Bone Swarm Gravewind. In addition, with its swarm ability, it can get up to defense 17 from living models, so it was a good Gravewind target. With my opponent's +1, because of his Theme Force, he actually won the die roll, and he's choosing to go first. He's flanking my left side with that minimum unit of Greylord Outriders, and suddenly I'm wishing I really had put my Throg on the other side. Throg is a much better tool to deal with magic users since they cannot target him with their frost spells. They can only kill Throg with charge attacks. Also, they take a point of damage every time they do cast a spell within 8 inches of him. I really love my opponent's Theme Force, and it's also, as a side note, I love the color scheme on his blue Khador. I think the Conquest looks pretty sweet with blue. With the +2 speed for all of his Warjacks, that Conquest just jammed up my zone pretty far on turn 1. Infernal Machine definitely helps him move up there too. That's a +4 speed on the first turn. And you can't see him, but the Manowar Dracoon is right behind or to the right side of his Conquest. And you can see Fenris up there, so that's a big, imposing group of models on my left side of the board, and there's no way in hell some Shamblers are going to be able to stop them. This game was actually played in Madison at the Crippled System 6-pack. Had a blast there. Alright, so for my turn 1, my Sacrivault ends up getting 2 souls. Because his army is mostly cavalry and can out-threat my army, it's kind of a awkward situation to be in. No matter where I move, he's going to get the Alpha Strike. So I'm just trying to minimize his damage by jamming up some of his models that otherwise would be in my face. take a counter charge with his raccoon, and he's gonna splat that little guy. That first shambler I moved up there, I asked my opponent if he wanted to countercharge, hoping he would be foolish enough to do so. Then the rest of them would have charged in. He was smarter than the average bear and said no, and he only countercharged the one that ran the full 10 distance, which he knew was outside of my charge range. Zombify on the Shamblers is pretty good. They're already undead, which seems kind of like a waste, but if they're going to be up in the front, you at least want them to jam, and making tough rolls really helps you jam. Or be a speed bump, I should say. My Bone Swarm is going to use its Swarm Animus. With Grave Wind, it's now defense 17 against living models, and anything that misses gets pushed back 2 inches. Against non-living models, it's defense 15. I noticed that my opponent has a lack of magical weapons on his side, so I tiptoe that Thrall right into the scenario. So if he wants to kill it, he either has to get Fenris over there, or run his little horsies over there, the Outriders, or he has to dedicate his caster to killing a Feral Geist, which is never a bad thing. My Gatorman posse run behind the forest, which, hindsight, was defensive, but it doesn't set me up very well for the counter charge, because my Thrall, who is going to hold those horses at bay for a turn, is kind of doing so in vain, because now those Gatorman posse don't have line of sight to be the second wave and charge in. At the very least, they're safe from being charged this turn. Because of the critical devastation on his Warjack / Colossal, I'm trying to space out Jaga Jaga away from my battle group. Now, normally she stays close to them because they give girded. However, I don't want to give him a low defense model to shoot at, and then she be clipped in the blast damage and be critically slammed away. I believe my opponent is going to try and unjam Fenris. He had to make a abomination check on his own unit though for walking so close to Fenris. Fortunately for him, it worked out and they are not scared. Oh, there's my first tough check. And there's a second tough check. There's a third tough check. Oh, he got one. 3 tough checks, not too shabby. His Ulans have an ability to charge through one another. I think it's so long as they're within the command of Markov. So even though I've got them kind of jammed, they're just gonna get the 3 inches by running through one another. Or at least a couple of them are. Three Ulans charging means 1 dead Throg. Looks like Vladimir has no qualms about taking care of that Throg. He has a Razor Wind offensive spell. Range 10, POW 12, that's straight damage on Throg, so it's gone. Oh, by the way, Vladimir did feat this turn, and my opponent is just realizing that Fenris is now outside of the feat range, so he doesn't get to sidestep, which is kind of a bummer because he was really hoping to dance all over and kill both my Witch Doctor and the Bokor if he could. He ended up doing around 7 damage to my Bokor. Ulan is definitely within feat range, so he's going to sidestep and smack my Bokor. And I'm transferring damage now, and because they're tough, they get to still make their tough check. And so far, 4 of them made their tough checks. So I just shunted 4 damage for no downside whatsoever. Ulans are getting the run charge order. Now we're going to check line of sight though. And thankfully my defensive play is actually panning out. He doesn't have line of sight to the posse. So now he has to charge the Bone Swarm, which wasn't what he wanted to do. I remind my opponent to make a command check, which he makes, because the Bone Swarm is a terror. And first one misses or hits a little dude, and I don't tough it. He does end up getting 1 charge attack that lands on my Bone Swarm and does a healthy amount of damage, somewhere in the teens. I believe he takes out the body. And now Conquest is going to shoot my Spitter. My opponent was kind of stunned when I told him he was defense 10. Yeah, that's a lot of people's reactions when I tell them my minion model stats. Conquest does have line of sight to my Gatorman posse, and he's gonna start shooting him up. Alright, back to my turn 2. Well, I can tell you one thing without thinking too hard. That Conquest is not going to be something I can deal with very easily with this list. So I gotta almost ignore it if I can. This is definitely going to be a feat turn for me. Also, with those little mechanics behind the Conquest, putting in damage with the Conquest is a wasted effort unless you kill it, because they'll just heal everything back up. Jaga Jaga's activating first. She spent 1 to heal the Bone Swarm back to all systems go. Checking my kill box, and I am good, but I'll probably move up a little bit. I did feat this turn, and I believe I cast Swarm on my caster. Myself, in addition to the hill, another +2 defense from shooting. Seems like an okay idea. Shamblers are going to activate. And the frustrating thing with my feat and mounted models that have dismount is when I kill them, nothing happens with my feat. I still have to kill the dismount before I can take control of the model and move it. If you're unfamiliar with Jaga Jaga's feat, essentially every time I kill a model, instead of it leaving the table, I immediately take control of it. It gains Dark Shroud, and then I can make a full movement with that model. The model ignores free strikes, and it cannot make an action. It lasts for 1 round. So it's great for just jamming my own opponent's models with his own models, because they do give free strikes if he tries to walk away. And they also have Dark Shroud, so if I want to take out something with higher armor, I just move one of these guys nearby to give it -2. So my Shamblers spent a turn attacking Fenris. And then the Witch Doctor did a sack strike on the Bokor for an automatically hitting POW 16 on the dismounted Fenris. And that destroyed Fenris, which I then took control of Fenris, moved him over to my opponent's Grey Lords. They made an Abomination check and failed. So far, I have done 1 productive thing with the feat. Bone Swarm's now activating and trying to just kill something. Which I do not believe it accomplished, which is pretty annoying. Rather than shoot a model into melee, I'm just going to charge with my own turtle and kill one of these. That should easily kill it. And I'm going to take control of his horse. And try and just jam up his conquest a bit. I'd rather he spend a turn with that conquest killing his own models than running him further down my throat. The other turtle has his eyes on Markov. We're going to boost a hit. Bam. Let's go ahead and boost damage. Markov has 10 boxes, but those were hot dice. He be gone. Unfortunately, he was too far, and I don't get to take control of Markov. Otherwise, that would have been a fun model to throw into my opponent. Sacrival is activating, but only rolled for one shot. We're going to take out the cavalry model that is not currently engaged. And I'm going to also move it to engage my opponent's Colossal. Posse are praying for March, and a couple of them do have line of sight. Thankfully, they're not just jamming. I actually get a couple charges in. The other do not have line of sight through that forest, so they're going to run. And try to position myself for a charge next turn on his caster if I can. It seems unlikely, but better to put a threat out there and have my opponent deal with it than do nothing. And somehow, through my charges, I managed to miss and not kill one of his Ulans. My opponent starts his turn 3 by rolling command for his Grey Lords, which they've passed. And I can't be for sure, but he probably allocated 2 or 3 to his conquest. Like Rad Vlad is making a charge. That'll hit. And with 8 boxes. Oh, that was his mount attack. His actual charge attack just straight kills that posse, no problem. At dice -4. And he will kill another posse member. My opponent saw my threat and raised me a threat of his own. His Ulans are now charging, and before you say, whoa, 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 free strikes, Vlad has dash, and my opponent is using dash every turn, much to my sad realization that I cannot jam models that ignored free strikes. Dash on cavalry is just great. They're already fast, let's make them faster. And by the way, no free strikes. His Dracoon is going to take care of, use his activation to kill his own models that I took control of. Which sounds good, but unfortunately I made it too easy for him, and those models were too close together. So now, with only activating one model, he successfully unjammed his Colossal. That remaining Ulan killed my Witch Doctor. And now his Colossal is going to Pound Town on my Ironback Spitter. But first he'll destroy my objective. Bone Swarm is gone. Ironback Spitter's taken some damage, but thankfully, even at dice plus, I don't know, 4, 5, 6, something, my Ironback Spitter manages to live. He is done. Ship turn. Alright, well, as you can clearly see, attrition is off the table at this point. He has a Colossal and multiple units left, and I have a Battle Engine, 2 War Beasts, and a Caster. Oh, and that little Gatorman posse right there. So, my turn's really simple. We gotta go for an assassination. Thankfully, the models left alive are all mostly ranged models, and his Caster is pretty nearby. Order of activations is going to be important though. Once he knocked out some systems on one of my turtle, I'm going to need to activate my Caster first. But I think I can get my Caster close enough where I can pop a couple offensive spells on Vlad for good measure. I gotta make the most attacks this turn that I can. I do have a range 8 offensive spell called Dead Weight, POW 12. The secondary effect doesn't matter right now, I just need a POW 12 on his Caster. So first things first, let's heal that War Beast. And I'm going to give Ghost Walk to that War Beast so it can disengage from his Conquest move over and shoot Vlad. But I'm going to... thinking if I need to charge... Yeah, I think I'm going to... No, if I charge, I might not get the facing, so... I believe I'm just moving. Yeah, I just moved 6 inches forward. Now I'm doing a dead weight, which hits, but I don't have any focus or fury to boost it. And I might have done a damage. Let's have this spitter stand still and aim and shoot at Vlad. And that was like a 1-1-3. I missed. The one that was most reliable missed. It deviates, but it will still clip Vlad. I'm going to boost the damage. And I do no damage at POW 7. Vlad's corroded, if that counts for anything. Alright, next up is Sacrivault. He's gonna roll on up. He's got 2 souls on him currently, so we're definitely gonna boost a hit. Oh, Vlad's defense is 15, by the way, so at Rat 5, I just need 10s to hit, which may or may not be above average. I believe I do about 7-ish damage there with both shots. I missed one, and the other one I did hit. I did about 7-ish damage. And I'm using one of his Ulans as a just as a proxy while I move my War Turtle out of engagement. Alright, Rat 5 boosted, and I miss. So it's deviating. I've had 4 shots between my War Beast and my Sacrivault, and 3 of them have missed. Alright, last ditch time. I've got a Gatorman posse that's going to charge. However, I don't really have line of sight to Vlad. I do have line of sight to his Ulan, so I'll charge that Ulan and kill him. And my secondary attack will be on Vlad. With Cold Blood, I should be able to hit. I just re-roll the hit. And POW 13, probably no damage. He takes a point of corrosion from vitriol, or just corrosion from the spitter, and it's his turn now. And this is pretty much good game. My assassination failed. He just needs to give some focus to that Colossal and beat up my caster. Good game. Khador wins.